So, welcome to Podcasting Your Business. I love podcasting for business for so many reasons, and I'm going to tell you all about them today and then show you some ways that you can use it in your business, as well as a place that you might want to consider putting them, like I do on The Great Discovery. So, let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Bree Campano. I am a podcast host, producer, and coach. So I've been doing this for a long time now. I have many podcasts. As you can see, my first podcast was called Clever Conversations. I haven't been doing that as much lately, but I do have clever conversations. So why not record those things? And then some of the other ones that I'm either a part of or produce, I have Love Notes, Fuzzy Logic, Spill the Immunity, which is a survivor podcast, Discovering Greatness, and the Homeschooling Podcast. Those are just a few that I love to do, but they're some of my background, so feel free to look them up. They are all on YouTube, so you can find them over there. So a little bit about me. I started podcasting and I had to learn a lot of it myself, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing or how I was going to do it. And I did find a course that I could take to get me the basics on how to start a podcast and how to get it up and running. And it's a lot to learn, but it's not that difficult, and it shouldn't cost you a lot of money to learn how to do it. So that's why I created a free course, which I will share at the end of this presentation today. But one of the reasons that I love podcasting for business is because it can build your like, know, and trust. And that's something that we talk about a lot when we're trying to find clients, build relationships. How do we let them know who we are and why they would want to work with us? Well, having a podcast can establish that authority. It can help you become the thought leader and show your expertise and knowledge in the industry, positioning yourself and your business as a trusted authority and thought leader. So they get to know you, they get to like and trust you. And so it is easier for them to choose you to work with you. And having a podcast can do that because you get to share more than just what your website shows, right? We go to a website, we're learning about things, and it's not going to give us that personality that I want to work with this person. Why should I choose you over the other 20 that I'm looking at? Having that podcast, having that way to connect with your audience so that they like, know, and trust you and choose you, a podcast will provide that. It's also an amazing way to market your courses and coaching. If something that you're doing and you're trying to sell courses, spending a million hours trying to do 60-second videos and put things out all over social media is very time consuming. It is a lot of effort, and it's not the best way to market what you are doing. When you have a podcast, you can market and reach a wider audience than you would anywhere else. I did a podcast with Alex and a couple other people. It is called Spill the Immunity. We put that out, our first episode last fall on YouTube. We used the long form content. We took that and we made short form content out of that. And within the first 48 hours, we had over 5,000 views on our channel, on our short content and long content, which is an incredible reach and an incredible way to grow your podcast, to reach a wider audience and to help you find clients that may not have discovered you otherwise, right? Through doing the traditional marketing channels. So the thing about long form content is that it can create conversion. So they get to know you. They will learn things from you if they are doing things that are value added when they're listening to your podcast. So you're giving away some of your tips, some of your tricks, some things that are going to help them in their life. When they spend that time with you in your podcast, and then they take the small things that they've learned from you and they use them and they find success with that, well, then they're like, oh, I'm winning. I'm doing the things that I've wanted to do because I listened to this podcast, because the podcast host has that expertise. I'm starting to like, know, and trust them. I am starting to build a rapport with them by being able to understand and take their advice and use it. When they feel that success, that converts to clients. They want to continue to work with you and they're willing to pay money for that. 72% of people that listen to podcasts will click on host read ads and host content that is provided in the description of a podcast. 64% of them will buy. So having that is like an advertisement, which goes much, much deeper than a paid ad on somewhere else, right? So they're building those connections. They can create a more personal and intimate connection with your audience by allowing them to hear your voice, get to know you, and find success from you, to be honest, right? So when you're providing that information on your podcast, you're actually giving them little bits of success in their lives, and they will want to convert that. They want to be a client of yours. Here's one of the things that people do all of the time. They will spend hundreds of dollars on ads for their business. They don't know if the content they're putting out there is the best ad for them, or they've hired a company to do the ads for them. And quite honestly, you'll never know what works. And you could be wasting a lot of ad money on just things that you aren't proven. When you do a podcast, when you are doing things and you put out short form from your long form podcast, you will be able to see what is connecting with your audience by all of the views that you get. So when we put out that podcast last fall and we got those 5,000 plus views, there was one short form video in particular that actually outperformed the rest, like by a couple thousand, right? And it was not one that I would have picked to be the winner. It was a random clip that we put out that really got people listening and watching and liking it. And what that will tell me is if I'm going to be spending any ad dollars on something, I'm going to choose something that's already connecting with my audience. And so by using my long form content, making short clips and shorts out of that content and seeing which one is the one that is connecting, I am better able to spend ad dollars on a video that is already proven to work organically, right? So we're not wasting, we're not going, gosh, I really hope they like this ad and that it connects and converts clients for me. We're looking at things that have already been converting, the things that already have been connecting with our audience that they like, and it hasn't cost us any money to find that out. So it's a cost-effective marketing compared to other marketing strategies. Podcasting is relatively inexpensive. If you are just putting your podcast onto YouTube, you are hardly spending any money. You're really only going to be spending money on setting up your equipment. We're going to talk about equipment here in a second. And getting like an editor, right? Having some editing program like Descript to use to edit your content so you can make it as nice and refined as possible when you go to put it out on YouTube. And those are the only costs involved. So you're not throwing a lot of money away on expensive advertising, and you'll get a high return on your ROI. So why have a podcast for your business? You can repurpose content. Once you've recorded a podcast, I think I went too fast, but I'm going to go back. Yes, save time, right? That's what I knew I missed something. We're saving time because I'm going so fast and skipping through things. But it's true. You can spend maybe an hour or two a week on doing a long form podcast, getting it set up, scripting it, whatever it is that you want to do with it, recording it, editing it, and putting it out. You should be able to do that in an hour or two's time, depending on how long your podcast is. And from there, you already have the content that you can then use to make your shorts, to do promotional videos from, and put them on all the socials. But you're not spending hours and hours of time recording these little clips and doing all these like graphics and all of these little things. You can utilize what you already have. It is a virtual library that you can choose from that you've already completed, edited, and put out. So then it makes it so simple for you to use that content to promote your business elsewhere. And the other thing that you can do it with it, besides doing the blogs and the social medias, is you can create a VSL, a video sales letter, and put that front and center on your website. So when people do go visit your website, they immediately can see who you are, what you're about, and get a feel for what it would be like to work with you. And you've already recorded it. You've already got that when you're doing your podcast. So it's such a time saver because you're not spending hours upon hours doing this. You can literally create clips from your podcast. I think I can do right now, I can do probably 10 or 15 pieces of shorts from a long form podcast in 5 minutes now on my phone. It's super fast and easy once I learned how to do it. And that makes it super simple for me to share things out and saves me so much time. So I'm not bogged down with what am I going to put out today kind of a thing. So some simple things you need for a podcast simply is a podcast name and niche. What is it? Where are you going to be talking about this stuff? What is it in your field? What is your topic that you can discuss that fits in with your business? If you have a health business, maybe you're going to talk about nutrition because that's what's really important. If you have a business that talks about being green or living sustainably, you could have a sustainability podcast, one that's going to share different tips on how to be sustainable and how your business fits in with that, right? So you're going to be giving value in your podcast by sharing tips and tricks from what you're already doing and getting people that want to work with you so that they can really take that farther and hire you to help them. Your topics and episodes. So writing down what are all the different things that fit under that niche that you could talk about. A recording studio. Honestly, you can record anywhere. We call Studio C, which is where many people record. It stands for closet. It has great sound. You've got clothes all around you that are absorbing some of the sounds and the echoes. So you're going to have a great sounding podcast. Now, you probably want to make sure your closet's relatively clean before you record in there if you're doing a video podcast, but it is a great sound room to record from. But anything can be, obviously, you can see mine. It's a crazy background. I like crazy in my background. Some people just like a plain blank background. They're just in a room that's just with a wall behind them. That works great as well. Then you're going to want to record an intro and outro. Very, very short. Outros should be less than 30 seconds. I recommend 20 seconds. That is, to me, the perfect time. Outros can be 30 to 60 seconds. Honestly, they probably won't stay and listen to the entire thing. So you don't want to make them too long. Pick out music. When you take my course, you'll understand the intricacies of picking the right music. You do not want to use anything that is copyrighted. So how do you find music? What do you look for? What are the right things for your podcast? Even though you have a favorite song by your favorite artist, chances are they're not going to let you use it. And if they do, it's going to cost you a small fortune. Podcast cover art, we go over that pretty deeply in my podcasting course, but podcast cover art, simple is better because it's a very small image. Then editing software, you're going to need to find that. Descript is what we recommend. A hosting platform, which is where you will upload your content. Hosting platforms are YouTube or Buzzsprout or Captivate. That is where you upload, put in your description, put in all your links. That is the place that hosts your content. Now, different from distribution. Distributing your podcast goes out to Spotify and Apple, and YouTube is also a distribution channel, right? That is where people listen. So a distribution channel is different than a hosting channel. So I stress that because a lot of times people don't understand. They're like, but do I upload it to Spotify? No, you upload it to your hosting platform, and the hosting platform then distributes it to all of the distribution channels, right? So what do we recommend? I love a Samson Q2U. That is my favorite microphone. It is my favorite microphone, and I still use it because It is very inexpensive at around $70 USD on Amazon, and it will give you a high quality sound at an affordable price. But not only that, is a dynamic microphone. It is not a condenser microphone. So if you don't have a recording studio and you're not recording in your closet, you want something that's going to have a good pickup pattern. So I'm going to stop for a second and show you what I mean by that. So here's my microphone. The pickup pattern on a dynamic microphone is in a heart shape, right? So it goes around like this. It picks up things on the front and sides, better on the sides. So you want to keep it at a slight angle. You don't want to be speaking directly into it. You want to talk to the side of it, and you want to talk in front of it, right? So when you talk in front of it, you're not blowing air into your microphone, because that will give you what they call plosives, which is that feedback that we get when we talk and we're blowing air into something. So we talk next to it. So it doesn't take the sound from behind it, and it really has a very small pickup pattern. So if you have a big room, if you have noise, an air conditioner, or there's a lot of traffic outside, or someone's mowing the lawn and those things, it really won't be picked up by your microphone because it is a dynamic microphone. The other thing about this microphone is it is a USB. It has a USB plug-in, which means you do not have to have an interface when you are using this microphone. Now, it does have the ability and comes with an XLR cable, which is what you do plug into an interface. Some of the microphones, like the Shure microphones, they are XLR only, which means you have to have an interface to use the microphone with your computer. It doesn't just plug right in. So those are the things that you really want to look for when you're looking for a microphone. That's why I like the Samson Q2U. I have used it since the beginning of my podcasting journey. I now have 3 of them. I just really like them. I think the sound is great. And so there's no reason, unless you want to spend 3, 4, 5, 6, even higher than that, $100 on a microphone, you're going to get a lot of quality out of this microphone. There are a lot of cheaper microphones on the market. I cannot talk to their quality. They can sound tinny. They don't always get the best sound on them. So I think it's really important, if you're going to invest a little bit of money, start with the Samson Q2U. It's going to be your best bet. So the other thing that I was talking about was that interface, right? So the interface this is a Focusrite Vocaster. This is made specifically for podcasting. It is a really, really cool device to have. I have one of these. I don't use it on the daily, but I do take it when I am going to go podcast remotely. So a lot of times when I go to the state fair, or I go to a concert, or I go to an event and I want to actually interview people on the spot, I will bring my Focusrite. My microphone plugs into it. My phone plugs into it. I have a lot of control over it. It is an interface, so I can use an XLR cable with it. But it gives me the ability to adjust sound, reduce noise, and give my sound the best possible sound it can have when I'm in a not so well treated area. So I love the Vocaster. I think I skipped the headphones. These are a pair of headphones. They're $50. I hate headphones that go over my ears. I spend way too much time in Zoom meetings and all kinds of things and on podcasts. I can't stand having headphones that sit on my head all day long with glasses, because I get headaches. So, but you want something that is wired. That is all I tell you. If you can find a pair that's cheap, that's what, an Audio Technica, for instance, is at $50. I have Shure headphones that I use. I think I spent about $60 on these, and I've had them for 3.5 years, and they work great. But you want it wired, because it will actually plug into the back of your microphone so you can hear yourself, right? So you can hear your sound and make sure that your sound is good. You want them to be wired. If you don't have them wired, you can lose connection. They can run out of battery, lots of different things. So I always recommend wired headphones. This is not the thing that you're going to put your money into. If you're going to put it in anything, you're going to put that into a microphone and then possibly an interface. So I mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to remind you, I have a podcaster's fast start. It is podcasting for beginners. Alex is on that with me. We did this together. He is amazing. And we wanted to give you the A to Z of starting your own podcast, where I go more in depth about how to do all the things that we talked about today, from coming up with your concept to how to produce a show, how to get it out there, how to launch it, all of the stuff that you will need to know, how to edit. Alex, we go into everything in this podcast. So it's wonderful. So it is free to take. It's an hour, almost an hour long. It's available in English and Spanish, and we will share that with you in just a minute. And I'll share the links in the chat here shortly. And if podcasting is something you want to work on, I have a very, very low cost membership where I teach live classes every week, have events, do all kinds of things, and do one-on-one sessions twice a month with you to help you get going. And it is literally $30 a month. It is so cheap because podcasting should be affordable when you're just getting going. There's no reason to spend hundreds and hundreds or thousands of dollars to learn how to podcast. You could really learn everything you needed from my free course, and you wouldn't need me to tell you anything. So that is everything that I have. I'm going to start throwing some links in the chat.